What's up, metalheads? The Strong Boys 19 here. It's time for me to do another 2013 album review, and for this one I'm going to be reviewing the new album from Trivium entitled Vengeance Falls. Now this is their upcoming 6th studio album, and by the way, this is a 7-pack review between myself, Thomas Rockaholic 11, Chainsaw Gears 12, Iron Metal 222, Midnight Strike 3625, Nicola Reviews, and Weekly Metal Reviews, and I will be posting their reviews of this album in the description. Just go and subscribe to them, so just check out these guys for yourself. Now, Trivium had been one of my favourite metal bands of all time, and in my opinion, guys, they have never ever put out a really bad album. The only albums I've got so far from this band are Ascendancy being my number one favourite, well, besides Shogun, but this album had been one of the very first albums that got me into the genre of metal. And I've got The Crusade and their predecessor In Waves, which came out in 2011. So, I really had big, gigantic hopes for this whole album, and it had been one of the most anticipated albums that I have been waiting for the whole entire year, basically. And I listened to it all the way through, and this album is just a big monster of a phenomenal album, and I just absolutely love it so much. It's definitely going to be in the top 10 when I'll be doing my top 25 of the year. It is that great. It's nearly 100% perfection from beginning to end. And just go out there and just buy this album when it's going to be released. So, yeah. Now, this is an album that is very interesting, and what I mean by that is that it really does show some of the pieces that sound very similar to some of their previous albums, like Ascendancy, for example. And this is their second album to have their drummer Nick Augusto. And to say who is a better Trivium drummer, Travis Smith or Nick Augusto, I'm not even going to choose, because they are both very different drummers, and they are for what they are, and they do have their own amounts of skill and talents that they have. So they're both very good drummers in metal, so I'm not going to decide who is a better Trivium drummer. But yeah. So the Roadrunner Records label is the album's record label, like the previous albums, and what really surprised me is that another musician is the producer, and it's like one of Killswitch Engage's guitarists, Adam, and he did the production on their album Disarm the Descent, and also 2012's Shadows Falls album Fire from the Sky. This producer is David Draiman from Disturbed and his newer band Device. And I always remember David being the vocalist in Disturbed because I love Disturbed as well. And Trivium and David Draiman himself, well, just Disturbed basically, or David, whatever you want to call it, can be very influenced between each other, and there are some very influential pieces on this album, and there's just so many fantastic songs on this whole entire album, and it really really just made me love the whole album instantly. Brilliant songs like the opening track, Brave the Storm, Strife, Vengeance Falls, At the End of This War, To Believe, and just all the others. And I just love every track on this album because they are very, very unique. And I'll tell you about the whole opinions on the creativity right now of why these songs are so good. First off, Matt's vocals. Matt's vocals are still very, very good and strong to this very day, and he can still do the really aggressive roaring and screams, and he can still do the very, very good, clear, melodic type of vocals, and there has been a lot of clean vocals on this album. But to make note, there are involving some of the screams from not only from Matt but from Corey, who's the backing vocalist, and also Paulo. And Matt's vocals are just absolutely amazing, and he's just one of the best vocalists in modern metal, in my opinion. The guitar work is completely out of this world. It's all over the place, and it's just completely packed with a lot of these aggressive killer riffs with a lot of complexity inside of them, with a lot of very improvised, complex guitar solos that just really make the sound and the songs at the same time stand out. And I always love Trivium from the way they can make the music this very unique, and that's just one of the highlights why I love this band so much. And they are just very catchy from their previous albums, and a lot of the songs on here are always very catchy from the amount of speed and aggression at the same time. The drumming from Nick Augusto is definitely one of the best highlights on the album besides the guitar creation. His drumming is still absolutely fantastic, and he has the amount of skill, and he keeps everything in time, and the sound of the drums is just really, really good, top-notch quality, and the sound of the electric guitars does have the very heavy, aggressive vibes to it, and the distortion is just, it's just wow. And Paulo's playing on the album is also very, very good, and he's just one of the most talented modern bassists in modern metal. And another really impressive thing is that he did a bass solo by one of the tracks, and I really was surprised. And it's just like with Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse that did his killer bass solo from their album Torture with the song The Strangulation Chair, and that really blew my mind. And Paula's playing with that bass solo is that same thing. It's just killer and mind-blowing. So yeah. And the production from David Draiman is surprisingly, stupendously great, and it's just not overproduced, and he did a really, really good job on the production on this album. So let me know what you guys think of this album by typing down below in the comments, and like I said, I will be posting the reviews from other YouTuber reviewers that I've mentioned in the description, so that you guys can check them out. Excuse me. So overall, this is absolutely a really big release from this band, and I have to say that this album is just nearly a big 100% of perfection, like Ascendancy, because that album is a 10 out of 10 for me, but this album had to be a really, really close second, like Shogun. And and I just love their whole discography, even though that some people give some shit on the Crusade. But in my opinion, guys, I really do enjoy that album a lot for the most part. So everything from this album, from the riffs, the drumming, the bass playing, the production, a lot of the songs, just the whole album, it's just a big, huge release from this band, and definitely check this album out for yourselves and just love it, enjoy it, and you can do a review of it if you want to. So yeah, that's really basically all I've got to say about Vengeance Falls from one of my all-time favourite metal bands, Trivium, and I'm going to give this album a strong 9.5 out of 10, like I did from the other 2013 releases. Well, from more than 5 albums I gave 9.5 out of 10, this album had to be involved in that subject because of that really high rating, because of how strong this album really was. So, thank you guys for watching this review, and keep it metal.